What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome with Iron Banner here and Lord Salad Man coming in hot with a new weapon, actually, with the Warlord's Spear. This is an arc trace rifle, so we are able to pair it very well this episode in Heresy with those new arc bolts, those bolt charges, everything like that, so it has some pretty solid synergy. Now we are going to have the origin trait of Skulking Wolf on this bad boy. While our health is low, Guardian Final Blows with this weapon grant us enhanced radar and remove us from the opposing radar, so PvE combatants become less accurate when they are targeting you, which is pretty nice because that was one of the changes. So it's not just a PvP perk, we got ourselves a little PvE side to that too, because they get a little disoriented, if you will, and don't aggro on you nearly as hard. For the PvE god roll here, we are going to go with small bore in our first column with a reload masterwork. We're going to have 80 in range and 90 in stability on this bad boy, with about 50 in the reload, so it is pretty juicy, especially with the third and fourth columns. Definitely very fun. For me, I went with ionized battery in our second column with that plus 32 magazine, minus 22 reload. So if you don't want that, I would go with tactical battery as your other option, because you get that reload back, if you will, or a little bit extra instead of minus 20, and you get range and stability, which stacks us up to 85 and 95. So just nothing too different in that category, but that reload, if you feel like it's too slow, throw on tactical instead of that extra magazine size. Third column here, we got some interesting choices with three actually: Envious Assassin, Rewind Rounds, and Loose Change, all going to be very good. Envious Assassin, defeating targets with other weapons before drawing this one, transfers ammo from your reserves to the magazine. It can overflow based on the number of targets defeated, so very good, because that fourth column we got two specifically that are going to be very good for this one, as well as Rewind. Rewind, when the magazine is empty, it refills based on the number of hits beforehand, so on some of those bosses, stuff like that, it is going to be very good, I think, having the rewind on it. Your last option, or third option I should say, is that Loose Change. Applying an elemental debuff to a target increases reload, aim assist, and movement speed while aiming down sights. Not that crazy of a perk, but you'll see in a second why this is a very good option. I think I would go with Rewind as my number one, with probably Envious Assassin as my number two, and then Loose Change, but totally up to you and your game style. Definitely you will see why though in this fourth column. Fourth column, I think your two options that you should go for are either the jolting feedback right here, so you can get that jolt applied by just doing damage to a target, or a new perk right here called Detonator Beam. Dealing sustained damage creates an explosion at the target, which is only on the new Dungeon Unsworn trace rifle, this Detonator Beam. So we only got two trace rifles right now that have this, and Detonator Beam seems like a very good perk to throw on. It's almost like a kinetic tremors, if you will. Very similar aspects of doing that little AoE damage, but doing more on the actual target that you're damaging with it. And then jolting feedback, of course, you're getting that amplification and a jolt just by doing damage, because amplification comes pretty quickly with doing jolt on targets, and it's very good at doing damage. So if you're basically able to have that up consistently with Rewind Rounds, you are able to proc both that jolting or the Detonator Beam very consistently. Kind of the same thing with Envious Assassin. If you can get that all the way up to the double capacity that it could be at, you are able to get a bunch of ammo down lane with either that jolting or detonating. So totally up to you for the god roll, but I think for me personally, I'm gonna go with that Rewind Rounds with the jolting feedback, probably this season specifically in Heresy. But Detonator Beam, I'm going to be looking for that one. They are probably tied pretty evenly, if my personal opinion, but we will see actually, depending on how the testing goes overall. But definitely they're going to be pretty much the same in my personal opinion, giving this thing a good 4.7 out of 5 very juicy, only compares to that Unsworn in my opinion because of that detonator beam. But we do got Lodestar, of course, which is an arc beam, which has very good abilities to jolt targets as well, and it doesn't use special ammo. So in that personal thing, I would use Lodestar, but that is an exotic slot being taken up instead of this Warlord's being legendary. Now onto the PvP side of things. Like I said, that Lodestar, even in PvE, PvP, kind of doing the same thing since it is a primary ammo weapon instead of having to use special. But we got ourselves a pretty decent roll right here with Hammer Forged Rifling. I personally went with, so we could get 95 in our range. We're going to have about 83 in our stability with a good amount of handling as well, because I did choose a handling masterwork on this as well, so you can switch on and off of that weapon a wee bit faster for the Crucible. For this, I went with Projection Fuchs because it does give us that 10 range, which lets us stack it up into that mid 90s. Like I said, very, very good, and you can reach pretty far out with it. For me, I really think there's only two options in this third comm. We got High Impact Reserves and then Hip Fire Grip on it as well. So we got that high impact. As the magazine gets lower, it's going to do more damage, which is 6% in the PvP realm compared to the nice juicy magazine that you can see up there with the like 50%, 12% is kind of crazy, but I think it is a very good perk in the PvP realm. And then like I said, that hip fire grip, we're getting stability, aim cone help, so it is going to be pretty nice. And I do like firing trace rifles in the Crucible from the hip, and like I said earlier, that Lodestar firing from the hip is definitely the way to go. With that thing melts that way, and with this, kind of the same in my personal opinion. You're able to get some pretty good aim with the hip fire grip, but I think for more consistency, I would go with the High Impact Reserves over hip fire. Last column, we're gonna go with 3 different options for you with Desperate Measures, Killing Tally, as well as Jolting Feedback. 3 totally different things, or I should say Desperate Measures and Killing Tally similar, because Desperate Measures Final Blow is going to give us a stacking damage bonus, but Melee Grenade Final Blows is going to give us a higher stack of that. So pretty good damage that we can do, not really needing it too much in the Crucible. But same thing, Killing Tally, as you get defeats, you're going to be able to stack that up to 15% damage in the Crucible. So again, not too shabby, but we got that Jolting Feedback, which is pretty solid. I was able to get this to proc in the Crucible, but not that detonator beam, so kind of a weird little thing. I don't know if it was a weird glitch based on the Guardians and if I missed a shot here or there, but that detonator beam, it definitely seems better for PvE, or I was able to get it proc more consistently, obviously in PvE, not really in the PvP realm unless I was going against a super or a well or something like that. But Jolting Feedback is a good option, at least in my personal opinion. But I think I would probably go with Desperate Measures overall with that High Impact Reserves. Just overall consistency best in my personal opinion, because melee or grenade defeats is going to help us stack damage with Desperate Measures in my personal opinion. But overall would probably throw this thing at compared to the Lodestar, hard to say, but maybe like a 3.9, 4.0. Not a huge trace rifle fan, but obviously this season with the Titans standing behind barricades, don't get me wrong, I'm doing it too because it's definitely broken. Anything with those bolt charges in the Crucible right now, super broken. But overall, this thing is pretty solid in both Crucible and PvE, so y'all should grind out Iron Banner with our boy Lord Salad Man. Get this bad boy, get yourself a couple god rolls on this and test them out yourself, see what you like best. But PvE, rewind with Jolting or Detonator, definitely the way to go. And then I think Crucible wise, that High Impact with Desperate Measures, probably the way to go in that. So again, really appreciate you guys for always coming back to the channel. Means a lot to me, means a lot to the channel as well. Don't be afraid to like, subscribe, slap that bell, join the Discord if you would like. We got some giveaways that's gonna start happening as well, so be on the lookout for those as well. I don't know what I'm saying. I like to babble at the end. My ADHD takes over and I don't really know what I'm saying, but I appreciate all you guys as always. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.